babble a bit. So.
Yeah. Sure. Cool. Good. Run. I mean, these may run for a while, so you know, it's all good.
It's good because then the email and notification goes out.
Hey, Patrick.
No.
How's sound? Sound check. Sound good?
Yeah.
Hey. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Session down, afternoon work done, ready to roll some dice. That's good to hear. Yeah, this is gonna be seminar style. Second one today at the Mike Disney's, you know, but always something. So
Mike has such a cool setup with his working desk and all the cameras and stuff. It's so cool. Hello, David.
What's up, Big Mac? Okay. Oh, look at that. We still got 12 minutes.
Yeah. Woo. So is it your smallest sponsors have the coolest videos? Is that the case?
Isn't that funny how? Yeah.
The smaller firms have.
Yeah. Well, it's the 3D print guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have the really cool. Yeah.
Yep. By the way, the Infinite Dimensions guys. We're blown away by the arena. I showed it. I sent them the pictures. They were like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Well, what did you expect?"
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. We're giving away 2 full STL packs at the arena during the Grand Relay tomorrow night too, for people with 3D printers so they don't have to pay for it. Yeah, along with a ton of other things. So. Beautiful day in Wyoming. Great to hear. I know this is going to be a bad, I guess, stereotypical. When I think of Wyoming, I think of that show Longmire, because I know it was in Wyoming.
Yep.
I know that's bad of me. There it is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, just so awesome.
Yours looks even better.
Oh my gosh.
The one that Bill's did.
Yeah, it's just, it's gonna be awesome. So, can't wait for that. Yeah, some cool things. Cool 3D company number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the older vid. I thought I had the newer vid. All right, well that's all right. See, that's what happens. Sometimes I miss stuff, but we'll put the road. We'll keep the road vid in. I thought I had the newer one.
Oh, can't you schedule that one to go after?
Well, I have. I can just pop it in.
Yep.
I don't know if I should do it live though.
It might.
Yeah, I don't want to crash
anything. Yep.
Yeah. Last thing I want to do is obliterate my stream. I know some streams have had some technical issues, but we've been going pretty well here, so
yeah,
keep that rolling.
Kayla had a few glitches here and there.
Yeah,
but that was
glitches are gonna happen too.
Bandwidth issues occasionally or something, but otherwise it was a fantastic stream.
Yeah, definitely. It's really great content, so really going well. Yeah, exactly. Don't do it! No, not yet. Patrick, sometimes, you know, it's you leave well enough alone. Or as the quote goes in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, don't F with it, right? So I'm not messing with well enough alone there. So we're a little early because I wanted to make sure that there was a good crossover if someone got done early for a raid or whatever. So we're a little early still. Thank you for hopping on. Hey, what's up? Hey, good to see you. You have fun so far, man, in your games? Like checks are super important, aren't they? As you found out, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I've never been a fan of what do you call it? Of using Discord. I'm gonna try and multitask. I'll be right back.
Yep. Jay likes to run unplugged at times, once or twice every stream.
have nowhere near enough K-cup coffee in my. So like I had to pop it on downstairs.
Okay, so ready.
I need it.
Yeah. Told them, said that you like to run unplugged occasionally, once or twice every stream.
Yes, unplug myself all the time.
Yeah.
But we may be stuck on the screen for an extra round here.
Okay.
So welcome. Virtual Welcome to. Okay. So God, all right. Let's see if my Discord's clear. Good. Oh, rest around and just absorb right now. Isn't that good? I mean, playing 2 games is a lot, so definitely is. I play twice. By the way, this song is called Facing the Dragon. What's up, Shane? Hey, sorry about the game, the one game getting canceled on you, man. Really sorry about that. So it's okay. Trying to help you out with that TLG gift card. Appreciate the understanding. Hey, Dwayne. Make sure that is that music set to run. Still waiting. I got it in between. I'm going to run down, hop, get my coffee, come back up here. Woo, all in one fell swoop. Good. Things are good. I'm surviving. So, it's not too bad. Little challenges here and there that we're getting through, but that's okay. Still got a couple minutes here.
It's a convention, so there's always.
All right, there you go. Well, that's good to see, Shane, that was done too. Biggie, Blue Box doesn't start for 2 hours. We read right into them. It doesn't start for 2 hours. There's no crossover. Yeah. So just make sure you got that time right. We'll finish and read right into them. Yes, try not to cross the streams. Right. It's gonna run one more time. I'll be right back.
The latest talk show, but I heard some in the beginning. So welcome. He's grabbing his coffee and getting ready to get his stuff. Well, thank you, Molly. I'm doing well. I've been prepping a lot of slides. We have over 40 slides for the images to show and stuff. So I have some stuff. So I did yesterday. Today. So yeah.
We missed a rate? Oh, of course I was downstairs.
Exactly.
Of course of course.
You left the headset.
Of course. Lord, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So, of course, I was running downstairs getting my coffee filled. So thank you so very much, Troll. Yes, you were droning on there. Good. Hey, Chuck, Steven, thank you so very much.
Yep.
Thanks
awesome
for the raid
show.
in. Looking forward to continuing tonight with the campaign and the maps and campaign of Anna Meyer. Anna,
Yep.
good evening.
Thank you.
It's going to be a fun one. So Anna's got some a different tactic. Why don't you talk about the direction of this, what you're going to discuss tonight?
Well, yeah, I've had this thing here on this channel, your channel, for like, what is it, like 4 times now, I think. And I've had this similar shows probably about 4 or 5 times at Gen Con and Gaiare Con and other conventions. And normally I'm very technical. This time there will be not much map technical stuff. I'm going to skip a lot of that and talk more about my campaign. And of course, there will be a lot about future plans and some interesting deep dives and setting deep dives and stuff. So it will be a bit more Greyhawk centric and a bit less map technical, because I have my map live streams where I can sit for 2 hours and babble about masks in Photoshops and stuff like that. So we're going to skip that kind of deep technical level for this. I don't think this is there. This is more kind of talk about what I'm up to and what I will do and stuff like that. So yeah.
What will be done, so let it be written, right? So
yeah.
So this is going to be a good one here, where Anna's going to talk about like things that have happened, things that are going on, and some really cool maps, and we're going to blow them up on the screen here. They're scrolling through, but that's a small pick. We're going to have some larger picks of them. And please ask questions. Feel free to ask questions.
Please ask questions. Yeah, we have 2 hours, yeah, we need to.
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt that this will be filled with 2 hours. And look at that. I think I just froze.
Yep. You.
There you go. Are we still there?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. Let me see. I didn't drop any frames. No frames dropped. That was
okay.
Weird.
Good.
That was really weird.
Yeah.
So something happened there.
Thank you, Guild Superior. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That was bizarre.
Yeah.
So I got you, Shane, on there. And that was really strange. We didn't drop. There's all sorts of issues here, and I got tone, like it's a super high tone. I'm gonna switch screens real quick to clear something out. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this. See if that clears it. Okay, it's cleared back. That was weird.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it just on my end it completely froze out. So I don't know what happened there.
Well, you just needed to.
Yeah. So all right, Anna, I left my door open too. Oh, well, it doesn't matter at this point. So we're going to have a really cool discussion tonight, and I'm going to flip it over to Scene, to our lovely Scene here, and talk about where we can go here.
We go.
And Anna's really, they are out today, aren't they? Just bizarre, because I am hardwired right into the router right here when I'm upstairs. It's downstairs I always worry about the streams.
Yeah.
So open door. My wife's still not home from work, on a Friday, so I've been running around doing 1,000 things. Hey, Marquesa, good to see you. So Anna, take it away here, and I'm going to be quiet a lot of the times here. So.
Well, and keep an eye on chat and stuff.
I will, absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely.
And so I was thinking I will start out with the big upcoming project. I've been working on various commissions and a little bit spread all over the place. But from next week onwards, almost the entire time until Christmas will be to work on. You can go to the next slide. Yep. To number 2. There will be to update the Flanny's map and atlas. So there will be a new edition. I promised that last year, and that was going to be. So I'm going to give the 598 map as well some love and update it, so they both will be updated to the same standard.
Oh, cool.
And I have probably about 300 or so things lined up. I have a special little folder in Evernote with all the stuff that people tell me is wrong and I need to look into. And I think it's about 300 or so items in there. That's usually what pops up in a year.
By the way, Anna, so I got a Reaper Miniatures gift certificate coming out for
please.
$20. But I thought you said you had something too.
Yes, I have something that I wanted to give away, and that is something that I'm going to, after this is done, by Christmas or about New Year's or so, I'm going to have a new Patreon tier where I give away people that I'm going to give away, but there will be a Patreon tier for $50 a month. you can hire me to create your personal version of this map.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I feel
that will be
special
the
now.
yeah, exactly. So that will be a tier for people that want me to hire me for like a day a month, basically. So that's what you do. So we can have like a Zoom meeting or Skype meeting, or send me notes and stuff, and I'll maintain a personal version of this map for I'm going to have 5 of these Patreon tiers available, and I'm going to give away one now for free. That's $500 of value, so to speak, to someone.
You're going to give away it free for a year?
I'm going to give away one free per year.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Yes, I'm going to give away one free. But that, so if you want to have your personal version of it, so to speak, and you can put up with talking to me for a couple hours a month, and we can sort it out, so to speak, then this tier is for you.
Wow.
Yeah,
So note this. Note this. You know, Anna and I get together maybe every 2 to 3, 4 months and hash it out. But this is going to be a little bit even more intense.
It will be once per, we can do a session once per month, and I'll work some hours, like a day or so per month, and do updates, and so you can rename countries, you can change borders, you can add and remove cities and settlements and stuff like that. So yeah, major terrain rework will probably be more limited, so to speak, because that will take a long time. But settlements, roads, borders, and names and stuff like that, that's something we can tweak every month, so to speak.
That is crazy, and that is unbelievable. So I guess the Reaper one will not be the first drawing. Whoever the first draw will be that, obviously, and then the Reaper gift certificate will be a little secondary.
So if you and I also have to state, just for legal purposes and stuff, I have the right to deny certain names and stuff like that, because if I don't want them to appear to my map, I just have to say that for legal reasons. I don't think that will be an issue, so to speak. So it will be your campaign version of the map, and so on. So that is something.
Let me tell you something. It's a huge boon. You all know how much I use it. So wow.
So this is kind of fun. So
that is amazing.
There will be 5 tiers coming up in Patreon to the same thing, so to speak. So for $50 a month.
Hey, Mike.
So,
having fun today, Mike? Great stream in the morning there. So good to see you. That is an amazing giveaway, and we'll talk about it at the end before for all the people who come on late. We'll talk about that a second time.
We talk about it. Exactly, because I'm going to go through other Patreon stuff further down at the end, so to speak. So then we'll repeat it again.
Okay.
Really good what it is. Okay, but so the other big thing with the update will be, you can go to the next one, to number 3 here. So
okay,
and that is the so there are 2 main areas that is the focus when it comes to changing the terrain, the map, and one is up north. Because what I've done is that now I've done the Earth planet model, and I realized there are issues with this map, the Flanaess map. So I need to make sure that adapt this one so it functions and matches the global map better. So there are some islands in the north. There will be a lot of hydrological work, so to speak. So there are a lot of coast, not the coastlines, but the ocean depths and the sea shelf and stuff needs to be or continental shelf need to be adjusted. So that is going on up north, and there will also be some rivers in the west. I've worked them then on the last mapping stream. I started to work on the map in the western part, the dry steppes and stuff. Well, my maps, this map is actually 20 years old when I started. So back then I used a program called Bryce 3D. It's back from the 90s. It's very primitive by today's standards. So the terrain is originally done in Bryce, and then I've done a lot of Photoshop touch-up and stuff over the years in Photoshop. And this update will be done completely in Photoshop. So, and then I use Illustrator to put all the labels, the heraldry, and the text and all that on top of it. And all the heraldry is done in a vector in Illustrator. So it's all vectorized, and that's also available on my website, so to speak, or on the Notion repository. So we give out the links several times over here. So
Photoshop is what % of your doing on this? Is it like
all the terrain map is basic? It was originally done and rendered in small little pieces, over 1,000 pieces in Bryce, and then I took them in and edit them together and touched them up in Photoshop over the years. And then I've reworked the map twice. So I've changed the colors and stuff. So there's basically just a Photoshop construction now. So it's all done in Photoshop. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. But now I can tell a lot of the stuff that comes later on for my Shieldlands campaign and stuff, that is done in World Machine and TerraGen and View and a whole range of modern 3D tools, mostly World Machine. And so that is a completely new beast, so to speak, and lots of cool stuff, much cooler. But I recommend everyone to come in and look at my my map live stream, so to speak, because then that will be deep dives into the technology behind it. And to follow me on my Patreon and stuff like that too. Yeah.
I'm still in shock about that giveaway.
Oh yeah. I thought that will be appropriate, so to speak.
Wow, yeah, because you'll have 6 then. Well, you have 7.
Yes, I will have 6.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah. You and John are already done, so to speak, and you don't do it that much.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, because it's already set. So yeah, true. So and Tim, stop texting me. I see you on stream. You don't need to text me any. Yes. I told him he's going to stop by later tonight. He's like, don't scare my wife like you did last time.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Now he will ding it for a long time. So up north, there are some islands and stuff up there that needed to be tweaked in, because they are actually both from they call DA1 map that was in Earth Journal, or not Earth Journal, but it was in Dragon Annual #1 map, and also a couple of other maps. Gary Julian did one as well that had more islands and stuff up there. So that's what I'm correcting here. That will be it will be set of ice and stuff there as well that needs to go in. Permanent ice will be added. I didn't add that on the original map.
Okay.
Hasn't been there, but it's going to be
so
there.
Ice packs up in this area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there will be a lot of ice, because there's ice there even in summer during normal climate, so to speak.
Okay.
So let's go to the next one and look at the southern bit, so to speak.
Sure.
So here we have what I've been working on. So yeah, so I've been added that big island, the Pirate Isles, that I added that last mapping live stream, and there's a whole bunch of other islands, including the Isle of Dread will be added. And then we'll see how much time I have to dig into Hepmona Land, because Hepmona Land requires a lot of research. So I'll definitely read through the Scarlet Brotherhood and see if there's anything added. But I might be able to add a little bit more down on Hepmona Land, but the Flanies map will keep its proportions. I'm not going to change it now, but the atlas might get a few extra pages to cover the Isle of Dread and some of the other islands. And there are some islands that are cut off and stuff. So there will be more of the Vohun Ocean or Pearl Sea.
Yeah, it won't be a perfect rectangle anymore with this.
No, the atlas will be 11 by 17 pages. So it's easy to add a few extra pages, so to speak. So they will show up on the atlas, but not on the map this far. But that will be added next year.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of people who have been venturing in this area recently, so that's
exactly
really...
me included. I've been on the Sales of the Azure campaign. So okay, so that was the map and the atlas update of 21, so to speak. But here comes the other kind of. It started as a little tiny project out of necessity, because I'm moving into GIS next year, and there will be more of that later in this seminar, so to speak. But so I in order to start figuring out where the Flanies is on the planet, where on the globe it is, I needed to have at least a rudimentary map understanding of the planet as a whole. So I started sketching, and I started reading and looking at all the previous works that's been done, both the official in Dragon magazine and also the Worth Journal and the article by Roger Moore and half a dozen of map sets and various maps of the planet, and started to kind of put all that information together and see if I can make my world model, so to speak, that kind of worked for what I wanted to do. So I started working, and after a little while, then I realized this is way more fun than I thought. So it became a very deep dive into the planet, and I've never been really interested in the rest of the planet. I've been like most Greyhawk gamers, is like, oh, I will never make it outside the map, so who cares? But in this case, it was really interesting. So I got very, very interested in it. So I started to build a planetary model, so to speak. And yeah, you can go to the next one. So So here
Wow.
is here is the model of normal Earth, so to speak, that we know about in the 500s during the when most of the published content is. You can zoom in a little bit. There's one set up. So there on the top one there is the northern winter, and the other one is the southern winter, and then you see it from the polar views on the left and the right, so you can see. And
cool.
and the middle one is a georectangular projection. So it's simply you take the image and then it's wrapped on the globe, so to speak. So
wow.
So that is the model, and I can say a few things on what I came up with and why. Is like I took the Flanies map, of course, and I took that extra little bit that is in the glossography of 83. There is like added bits that were not on the Darlene map, and then the Dragon Annual map, and then inspiration from half a dozen others, both in written form and maps from it, so to speak. And a lot of people wonder, in the middle of the Solnor, that is a little kind of a little smaller continent that is in the middle out there, and that's I added that as an homage to Frank Menser's Antaria, Aquaria, whatever. It's been having, exactly. That's had many names, so to speak, and it's an homage to his Antaria, Aquaria, whatever. I call it Menseri in my campaign in his honor, so to speak, and I pretend that it's a two of name. So that's where I've added it there, and then also the Great Southern Continent, I moved it down. It looks like on the Dragon Annual that is supposed to be down, but there is no projection, or you don't know really. Yeah, exactly. Right. I call it Anakeris in my campaign, but that's my name for it. And then we have the big Fireland up there that is really big. We'll see. I have to talk to Carlos, and we have to discuss how big Fireland actually is, because
I have a question for you on that right now. So is Fireland like Iceland, kind of where it's volcanic still?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, and the interesting thing with that, and that's something we should have Dennis Tetro on and discuss the geology of Earth, because that's an interesting thing. Some people probably, and DMs probably want to have Earth as a standard planet with normal geology, but I want to have it an elemental fantasy planet with fantasy tectonics and fantasy version of geology that leaves it for more kind of interesting openings and stuff. But I still want to have Fireland as a at least partially volcanic island. I think it's a lot of fun to have it, and to have volcanoes here and there.
So because I see you in the winter have it completely covered by the ice pack.
Yeah. And that is simply because it is on the polar circle, and Earth has 30 degrees actual tilt, and Earth only has 23 degrees, and that means that the polars are bigger. So the tropics are bigger, and the polar Arctic regions are bigger. So I think that was by design. I think that Gaiare, Gygax, and the others who were around at when they took these decisions early on probably liked a planet that had more extremes, meaning more cold and more hot, and a little bit less temporal or kind of temperate areas that are in between. Because in fantasy we like the extremes. They want to have the cold areas, the hot areas, the boring extreme normals are not that much fun. And I think that was part of the design. So that means that in the winter, ice forms much easier around land than out in the open ocean, so to speak. So that's why it freezes around the island, so to speak. And the Fireland also blocks any warm waters coming from the south, which means that north of it will freeze much more. That's why the icy sea is much more frozen than the Solnor, because the Solnor is open to the tropics, and a lot of warm water can flow up there. That's why, so that's part of the climate. And let's go to the climate zone and climate. We can, there is a detail. Go to the next one.
This is cool.
Yeah, so there you have the normal climate zones of normal Earth, so to speak. So the red areas are the tropics, where you find deserts and jungles in the middle, and then the green belt north and south are the temperate regions, and then the blue is the Arctic. And there's a hot version and a cold version coming, so we can compare them afterwards. And these are also available on my website. So hang on a second, we can I can dump all the links in.
Yeah, please. I have a question here, and
Yeah,
that is, is that tropic zone bigger or smaller than Earth's because of its tilt?
it's bigger. Yeah,
Bigger.
so it's so the Arctic is bigger and the tropics are bigger and the temperate areas are smaller. That's what happens when you tilt it. The seasons get bigger and the tropics get bigger. So because the sun will go further north and then further south again before the tropics, the Cancer and what's the other one called, the
Capricorn.
Yeah, Capricorn. Yeah, they will be 30 degrees from the equator and not 23 degrees from the equator. And the same thing with the polar Arctic circles will be 30 degrees south and 30 degrees north in the south, so to speak. So instead of Earth. So that means that the temperate areas will be slightly smaller.
Okay.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yep. And go to the next one. We can take a quick peek at the climate. I'm not going to go into details. You can download this with the legend from my Greyhawk repository, the Notion site. You can find it with the legend and stuff going. But here you can see that the Flanies is really an interesting part of the world, because it's the only part of the world that has every climate zone, from the tropics to the Arctic. Most of the other areas, you don't get that many climate zones in such a close proximity. And it's a bit like Europe. You have a lot of water coming in, meaning you have the Azure Sea, you have Elmo Bay, Woolly Bay, and so on and so forth. And you also have the Solnor Ocean that brings up heat. And that means that Ratik has much warmer climate than a lot of other areas.
So is Ratik like Scotland? With climate,
Ratik is probably, I would say it's a bit like southern Norway.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. You have Western Scandinavia. It's the same way, because you have a warm ocean current coming up along the eastern side of the Flanies, just like you have the Gulf Stream in Europe that comes with tropical warm water. So that's why you have but as soon as you get deep into Grendep Bay, then it cools off and becomes semi-Arctic very quickly, so to speak. So that's probably why Marner is in the southern end of Ratik, because it probably freezes over north of it in the winter. But so Ratik is a bit like Murmansk in Russia. It's the last ice port that doesn't freeze over in the winter. Okay. So north of it, everything freezes in the winter. So that is interesting. Yep. So this is kind of, so I use the Köppen classification for anyone who wants to. It's a simplified Köppen. Köppen has like 40 climate zones. I brought it down to like 9 or 10 or something like that. So, and I've used a couple of friends of mine who are doctorates in climate science and oceanography have helped me in this. So I had some real scientific expertise that have, and thanks to COVID, and they were sitting working from home, so they kind of liked the idea of actually making a climate model of a world that didn't exist. It was a lot of fun. So we kind of,
So question in my area here. It goes Selene, Pomarge is more in the Carolinas, whereas Orange is like Florida.
Yeah, that's Mediterranean climate. So I would say the Pomarge would be like Spain.
Spain, okay.
Yeah, very much like Spain in climate, like Spain, northern Morocco, or like Southern California, or Central California. Okay. So it's Mediterranean climate, and then that kind of more yellowish or like dull yellow, that's in the highlands. That is dry steppes up in the hills, and so you have and Mediterranean climate means that the hot, dry summers and then mild and moderately wet winters, so to speak. That's the characteristic of Mediterranean climates. So, yeah.
Very neat. Excellent.
Yep. So it's and thank you so much for the comments on this. Yeah, this is kind of interesting, but we've just started in the rabbit hole yet. So we haven't gotten,
trust me, we just scratched the surface here.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one, because we need to go deep into. Here is an ice model. I just wanted to show that I did this to make it simple, this is ice in during normal times, normal climate in Earth as we know it during the Greyhawk campaign and stuff. So there you have land ice, and you can see ice in winter and summer. And that might be interesting if you want to go and adventure really far north, so to speak, and you want to take a sea journey to visit Jotsplat or something like that. So you can kind of figure out when you can go and when you need to walk on the ice and when you can take a ship.
Yeah, because when you can get to Carlos's Adventure, it's
exactly.
set there.
Yep. Yeah. So Jotsplat is one of these interesting things. You go in the summer, and then if you stay at fall, it's like Antarctica. You have to wait over winter before you can go there, leave the next summer again. So next spring.
Way up there. Yeah.
Yep. So this map is in. So let's go in and take a look. We're going to skim through them real quick, but there's a tail coming at the end of this. So I did a cold and a hot model. So just to show, here we have the cold Earth. And here is Earth in an ice age. So my idea with this was to start seeing what different climates back in history or in the future could affect what the planet looked like, so to speak, and what the Flanies look like. So here is a cold version that is roughly equivalent in temperature, like at about 10-12 degrees Fahrenheit lower temperature than normal, so to speak. What will happen? And one of the very characteristic thing with the Earth compared to our planet is that there is more land, less water. And there's also way more land mass up in the polar regions, which means that a lot more ice will accumulate over land rather than water. And that means that the ocean will fall down. So there will be way more land exposed. And zoom in a bit on the Flanies there, and you can see there's some interesting
there's land bridges all over the place.
Exactly. There's the Azure Sea becomes an inland sea, and Mona Land becomes part of the Flanies, and Flanies also expands out into the Solnor. So the Lendor Isles, the Spindrift and stuff becomes part of the mainland.
This becomes almost a Caspian Sea.
Exactly. Yep. And there will be like a big river going out into the the Nurdiv expands a bit because there's so much meltwater and stuff, so it flows over a little bit. And this is the winter version of it. And
the
you
Sea
can
of
see
Dust even has
exactly the Sea of Dust is the interesting stuff. This is, I put it in, this is pre-cataclysm. And that is part of the story. So I'm going to explain that very soon. I haven't gotten any comments of this, and it's been on my Patreon site for a month, and no one has commented on it.
It's a lot. It's a lot to digest. That's why, because no one's thought this way about early pre-Greyhawk, pre-era Greyhawk, which is really neat.
So then just go a quick through the climate zones and on this one, because we can dig into the digested. Here you have the cold climate zones. So the Arctic has moved down, and I added the ice to this one just for making more of a point, so to speak. So the temperate areas is the Arctic have squished down, and the tropics is now further reduced to, so to speak. So the cold has taken over. So this is the cold version of it. And then you can go to number 13, the next one. And that is just a quick look at the climate zones here. And what we can see, the dark gray, that's tundra. Oh, that's like polar glacial ice. And then the brighter gray is tundra. And we can see that most significant is that the deserts are halved in size. So there is much, much less desert, and it's only like a few areas that have desert. And the tropics are almost untouched, because that's one of the interesting things that happens, is that the tropics are still there and doing fairly well. The other interesting thing is that when you come cold climate is that since the temperature falls, the humidity in the air falls. There is less rainfall, which means that a lot of the temperate areas get drier. So there is still a lot of cold deserts, and there's still a lot of cold steppes and tundra that are fairly dry. So it's only the tropics that receives significant amount of rainfall, so to speak. That's one of the absurd things. When it gets colder, you think that it gets rainier, but it doesn't. So this is a quick, and then go to the next one. So here we have the same one as the normal one, where we have the ice in the ice. So we can see how big the ice sheets would be.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. And then I did the opposite. I made a hot Earth model too. What happens if we crank up the climate 10, 15 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 10 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Fahrenheit? And all of a sudden, almost all the ice had melted. There's just a little bit of ice on the southern polar region. That's it. And the northern, in the winter, will have some snow and a little bit of ice, but it doesn't accumulate. And the interesting thing first happens is that since there's so much ice melting that was sitting on land, that means that the oceans are hundreds of feet higher, maybe 500-600 feet higher than normal, which means that large areas of the continents get flooded. And that opens up a whole bunch of interesting possibilities.
Yeah, no more Salt Marsh.
Except the Salt Marsh is just a little island sticking
right there.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is where I think the Isle of Woe can come from.
Oh, okay.
Because the Cairn Hills and the Aber Isles area and around Greyhawk is actually an island.
Yeah, this.
Yeah. And there are some other islands in there. So maybe these Isle of Woe legends can come back to an older warm period, so to speak, if we want to. So
excellent idea.
Yeah, and then we can go quickly if it be worth the hot climate. Here's the hot climate. Now you see the tropics have moved halfway up the Flanies, right, and the Arctic is just a thin strip in the north, so to speak, in the south. And the temperate, the interesting thing, since the actual tilt is so high, that means that the temperate region doesn't grow big, it just moves north and south. And the tropics and the Arctic are the ones that differs in size.
Wow.
So that's one of the, and this is built on fairly accurate real science, planetary science, so to speak. And here's the climate. Now we have desert, and I've introduced a dark red, and that means that these are areas that are so hot and dry that normal human civilization is not possible. Right. Meaning you have temperatures reaching maybe 150, exactly, reaching over 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's so hot that you basically die unless you have magical other protection, right, so to speak. But on the other hand, that might be perfect for red dragons and other fire-loving creatures like salamanders to breed and stuff like that. So in a fantasy world, that will open up some new ecological niches for various monsters and stuff to breed and happily, securely breed without pesky adventurers coming, eating their young or killing their eggs, whatever it is. Yeah. So there, and look at the Flanies in this case. You have... Flanies is fairly habitable. Large part of it is still habitable, and that's one of the interesting things. And that's what I think we should go to the next one, because now comes now we're going to analyze all of these maps and look into it. And if we want to start thinking, where do civilization develop and where do humans develop? They should develop in areas that are stable over long terms, like millions of years. And what areas on Earth are stable both in hot and cold climates? And those are the areas that are like pink here on the areas. And the biggest area that is stable over a long time and over the whole climate cycles is northern Hepona land. Yeah. So Hepona land and southern Flanies is actually some of the hottest spots. Yeah, exactly. Some of the hottest real estate in the whole world, if you want to have a stable civilization living for a long time.
Selene.
Exactly. This is really interesting. And the funny thing is that I didn't think of this first. I just drew the climate as needed, so to speak, and then looked at the map. And it's kind of, it's kind of cool. So if I'm going to look at my notes here. Yeah. Yeah, so we have cities that are in this area. Let's see here. Yeah, you go stable. Go to the next one. Because I've marked all the 19 there. So yeah, and you can zoom in because there's now little yellow markers here on where these where cities are in stable areas. And it's interesting. What shows up here is like great. You have and Greyhawk, Shathold, Primp, Reldevon, Irongate, Pontilver, and Laurel Tarma are and also three elven cities, Selene, Corwood, and Tringley, are all
Right
in
here.
these areas. Exactly, or in
And
these areas that are,
Altamira.
yeah, exactly, in
That's recent.
Altamira. So yeah, so these are areas, and it might not be a coincidence, so to speak.
That's interesting.
So you, in your campaign, if you want to adapt these climate scenarios, you can have these places have
Roxas.
very ancient, yeah, Roxas is the same way. It's also in a, because Roxas will be a coastal city in a hot climate. So it's kind of and it will be south of, and it will be like in the boreal region in a cold climate. So it's kind of interesting that a lot of these places we know and love in Greyhawk will actually be sitting on primary real estate. They can be eons old if you want to. They can be old Flan strongholds from way back when.
I like that these ancient, the Olman empires and everything are down here, stating that they could have been there a long time.
Exactly.
Right?
They can, yeah.
Right, both on Monoland and over, because this one's still active right here. I believe it's this one, right? Is this the one that, or it's one of these two, either this one or
yeah,
this one?
yeah.
They're
And
still
I marked, and I did. These are simply areas that are strategic, so to speak. They are at the mouth of a river, or they are in an interesting pass, or they kind of have good harbor opportunities or something like that. So these are. And you see Laurel Tarma on Lendor Isle, for instance, is a kind of a perfect spot because it sits there close to the ocean, and when it gets cold, it becomes a coastal city attached to the mainland.
That's awesome.
Which means that a lot of stuff could have migrated there early on. They could have been Flan or whatever lived there long before the Soul came in, if you adapt this scenario. So, okay, so let's go to the next one, and we can kind of look at the so back in the day, let's say we go back like a few million years or something like that. We say that there were early humanoids or primates or hominids, whatever you want to call them, early man or something, and who developed in that border area between Hipmonaland and the Flanese. And there was an ice age back in the day. That was a perfect spot for them to start migrating west and north. And they started colonizing, and there you have the embryo to the Flan and the Olmans, and then they will obviously move south, and then you have Olmans living in southern. So you have humans living over the Hepmonaland, you have the precursors of the Flan living in the Flannes, and you have the Olmans in the going over both to the Medio and staying in southern Flanese and Hipmonaland. So that's kind of the the interesting, so to speak. But then the climate will probably not stay stable for forever, so to speak. So after some tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, but after a while, the climate will heat up. It will get normal, and then it will heat up. So go to the next picture. And here we have the same. The outline. The normal coastlines are outlined with purple in this picture. But then we have, let's say the humans have started spreading west, and they spread north. So we have the proto-Flan living in Flanese, and we have the Olmans living in the Almedio and stuff. And we've had humans that have migrated further west and up north. And then we have the very precursors of human civilization. And then we get a warm climate, and the whole north open up. The central part of the Werik becomes uninhabitable desert that is too hot. So the humans move north. And what happens is that then there might be the first seafaring culture opens up. So they move up to the northern central Werik, and they find the Hyperborea or Borea or whatever you want to call it, and start settling up there. If you zoom in a bit, you can see there's some red dots on this map here and there.
So we're talking about up this area.
Exactly. They can settle up there because that's perfect temperate area now in this kind of hot climate zone. And all of a sudden they can spread. And there we can have the precursor of our Sul Empire. The first Sul might actually start to appear. And that's why when the Sul, because they have a lot of kind of water gods and naval terms and stuff like that. That might be from a time early on when they had a big empire, and they settled up there, and they lived up there, and that was their first one. And then if you go down to the Gulf of Gaiare and the Baklunish area and zoom in
right here, Here?
Yeah, a little bit east. There you go, and zoom in. So you have the western end of the Flanies, and you have the Gulf of Gaiare. Go south just a little bit. There you go. And this area, if that was settled by other humans, so to speak, that lived on one area, and then when it got hot, the Gulf of Gaiare got big. And let's gonna play with the idea that on the western side there were the precursors of the Bakluni. They lived on that coast, and on the eastern side, because they were divided up, they started different culture. And then you had the precursor of the Iridians that lived originally in the same area that the Bakluni live today in the Flanies. And thanks to them being separated, because they have a hot desert in the south that is not good. So you have, they are splitting up in culture, and they happily lived, meaning the Sul had a big empire up in the north, and were big seafarers, and got their cold, so to speak. And then we have the precursor of the Bakluni. The problem with in here is for the Olmans, because the Olman world crashes. Half of it disappears, or even more disappears into the ocean, and deserts start spreading and stuff. So the Olman had a first kind of cataclysm, which kind of ties into the story, because the Olman culture kind of got off to a bad start, and they kind of, they didn't like. This was not good for them at all. And the other interesting thing is that most of Hipponaland turned into a desert, except for the southeast little area down in the southeast. And that's where I think that the Olmen could have got separated, and that then they became two different people and two different cultures. And you have the Tuov. And since the Tuov didn't have nowhere to go on land, they became the second big seafaring culture, because they had nowhere else to go. So they had to, and they had the big Solnor next door, so to speak. So they started colonizing the islands. They could have gone to Menseri, the southern continent, great southern continent, because they have the trade, the equivalent of trade winds and the ocean currents. So they can fairly easy move both east and go down south and then come back home again. So that's, we'll tell that story. And this is when the Flanies started to come of age, because they now have the prime real estate in the world. So the Sul and the Flan in this scenario has the best spot in the world. So the Flan culture can really start to rise again in the Flanies, together with the elves and the dwarves and others. So they can kind of started to come of age, and we can start seeing the Ur-Flan culture rise up and stuff, and started being. And of course, then you get the so we have the next one. So we, and then we could have a cold again, so to speak, and a new cold period. And what happens then? First, we have the Sul Empire up in the north that crashes because it starts freezing over, and the Sul have to migrate south and then encroach on the Bakluni territory. And the Bakluni and the Sul probably had their first wars and became arch enemies. And the Sul had to flee. Some of them fled west, some of them fled south. And if there's an ice age, they found this wonderful high plateau in what used to be a desert, and then will be the Sea of Dust. But during the ice age, that was prime real estate to live in. So they formed the Bakluni Empire in what was during the times a perfect spot to have it.
I mean, Sul Empire.
Exactly. Sorry, yeah, the Sul Empire. And the Bakluni, they were forced to move south as well, so to speak. And the Iridians were the ones that survived in what is today the dry steppes and the Panem area, so to speak, on the west there. And the Flan had basically the Flanies and the southern part to themselves, and they could start thrive. Their culture could start thriving even more. So together with the elves, the Flan could become really settled, so to speak. And the Flan reached their peak. This is the time of Vecna and the Ur-Flan and stuff, because they started to build their empire, so to speak, because they had no threats. The Olmans were crushed before, and so they could basically, and they had in the east, they had huge land, and you had the Alyssa was forming. That was a huge, perfect spot in temperate climate and stuff. So you can have really, really, really good. And then when it warms up again, so you can go to the next one,
I think the
or
next
the
one's
one
still
after.
Yeah, that
It's still cold. Yeah, it's
okay.
still, that's the winter one. You can move past the hot one and go to the combined summer at the next one, 25. Yeah. So we end the story here. And now when we look at this story, because what could happen then, the Sewell, when the Bacluni moved it, after the Ice Age, when the today's Earth or Flanies is starting to form and the ice retreats and it warms up, then the Iridians will realize that, oh, the Thornwood Gap is opening, so they can kind of move east. So they move up through Ull and then into and north and east into it. And the Bacluni, who are then during the Ice Age were living it what became a hot desert, have to move north back into to what became their land, so to speak, the Bacluni land. And then the Sewell were sitting in something that is starting to become a desert. That plateau, when it warms up, that wonderful temperate plateau is starting to become a desert, and their arch enemy, the Bacluni, is living north of the Sulouts and north of them, and they probably didn't like it. So that's might be one of the reasons out of many that they started a war with the Bacluni. And the Flan culture got kind of dislodged by the onslaught of both Iridians and Sewell that fled their crumbling imperium, and the Iridians that were simply looking for better options, so to speak. And this is one interesting way you can let the setting be part of the story, so to speak. You can kind of tell, instead of trying to explain it only with magic and stuff, you can actually let the setting and the land itself support the story.
So you got a lot of lost civilizations on this map in blue.
Yeah, and now we come to the interesting bit. What I've done in this map is that I've mapped all the strategic locations that are both during the hot times, the cold times, and the normal times. So the yellow ones are the ones that will be there all around, and the red dots are areas that are strategic locations during hot climates, and the cold ones are doing cold climates. And there are some really cool things, because if you zoom in, we have things like the lair of Drummage in the Azure Sea.
Yeah.
That is that could have been a coast time during the Ice Age that he actually lived in when it's submerged.
Yeah, and then also Sahagwin locations.
Exactly. Yes, the Egg of Coot could have been a Sewell place in the during warm times.
And up here.
And the other cool thing is that the Sewell could have migrated along the coast and then settled down in the Thelonian Peninsula from the north, so to speak. And that would have been a perfect natural way. So you can have ruins of ancient Sewell places up in the north.
So we're only talking thousands of years here. We're not talking millions for tectonics.
No, exactly. Yeah. This is maybe I started the story maybe a million years ago, and then in the first bits there were hundreds of thousands of years, and then the last Ice Age could be maybe 5, 6, 7,000 years ago, when meaning we have to see our history in recorded history in the public sources starts about 6,000 years earlier, or 6, 7,000 years. And that's kind of, if we look at the real world, that's when the last Ice Age retreated too. So we have a good match there in if we want to compare it to real world. So it's perfectly possible. And when I did this analysis, there was so many cool things you could deduct from this, because you can come up with backstories for a lot of these places and stuff.
Yeah, I'll say. Look at that. I mean, look at that. It's dotted all over the place with locations.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
This is on my Patreon site right now, and with the further explanation, and this is a little bit more detailed than I did a quick summary here. And I probably forgot a few interesting things in the go, so to speak. But there will be more coming soon too, and it will come to everybody in very soon. Yep.
Wow, that is awesome. So I guarantee you that not a lot of people have thought of it that way in terms of history, past history, and determining migration patterns and civilizations.
Yeah. So I wanted to show what you can do if you bring in the geographical perspective into the backstory as well, and to have it to kind of underbuild the stories we already know.
Okay. Alrighty. So we should go to the next one. Or what?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Next
So
one.
so
All right.
now
Here
we
we
can.
go.
Yep.
Meyer
Mm-hmm.
Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have, yeah, I put a logo on it, so to speak. So because I wanted to diversify with the public content that is meant to reflect the kind of standard setting. And then I wanted to have a logo for my version. And I have to give David Shepard or Big Mac the credit for coining the term Meyer Hawk, because he was the first one, I think, that used that term, and it was kind of cool. So I made a logo for Meyer Hawk, so I can simply label things that are from my own campaign. And so people can see the difference. It's simply, you can of course cherry pick and take whatever, but that's when I've gone off the rookers in directions that I'm interested in, rather than just trying to make a map that is as accurate as possible with published sources and general community accepted content, so to speak.
Okay.
So that's
let me
the thing.
leave
So
that one
let's
up
look into a
here.
little bit what Meyer Hawk is up to right now, so to speak. What's happening in the Meyer
Right
Hawk? So
there.
you can go to the next one. So right now, my thing right now is the Shield Lance. That's what I'm running. I'm running a campaign in the Shield Lance. Have been for almost a year now, and I've been planning, and next year I will hopefully, if COVID and the pandemic and stuff is receding enough, go to England for D&D in a castle and to run games, and that will also be set in Shield Lens, and so I can use the same material.
So I immediately noticed on here the shields
Mhm.
look a million times better.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
look real.
Oh yeah, because I've added some texture and
Oh
stuff
my
to it. So
gosh.
yeah, so make them look real, so to speak. And that's the same trick I used in the Atlas. So the Atlas will have a heraldry appendix this year too. So I will update the current one, and they have shields that kind of looks like they're metal, and they have like rivets and stuff in them. So I've added some shields. That it's only the center shield and shield. The other ones are from my campaign. I've added the export shield to the public map as well, but the other ones are from my campaign, so there are some special ones there. So I'm not going to go into all the goodies, but that you can kind of see some of them are so there are some of the factions that are active in my campaigns, in this campaign. And the overall theme is that this is set in 598, 599. We are going they're going to celebrate Mead Fest in a couple of sessions. So it's going to be 599 soon. And it's now, what is it, like 17 years after the war soon. So Shieldlanders are now starting to liberate Shieldland, and IUs is now not on the retreat. It's kind of a stalemate, I would say, but there's also now a kind of a no man's land in between, because both the IUsians and the Shieldlanders are a little bit reluctant to go head to head too much, because they are both, yeah. So it's a bit of a detente. No one is significantly stronger than the other one, and that means that no man's land opens up for other factions, and there are several others. And one of them is the old faith, meaning the druids and others they represent people that lived here for, yeah, like we said previous in discussion, maybe for hundreds of thousands of years. And the ancestors, the current generation of Flan and their people, they live there. And especially the druids and stuff from the Fell Reeve, some of them have fled south, because Ius is building a new capital in Hellern in my campaign. So he's starting to go hard up there, and so they fled south, if some of them. And then there is the White Plume Mountain that is brooding some new things. And we have Dragotha, we have Morgenstaller from the Living Greyhawk, and others. So there's a bunch of interesting factions and stuff that are kind of maybe there, maybe active, or maybe not. We'll see. So this is, yeah. So go to the next one here. So we have, so here's just a couple of snapshots of the settlements and
this
places
is in the
of
new
interest.
mapping style.
Yes, exactly. This is my porta potty scale style, so to speak, 5 feet per pixel styles. So this is what I'm thinking of making a standard for future Greyhawk maps to have this style, because you can actually, you can zoom in. This is Aldet, the little that used to be a town, and now it's coming back to become a town because it's just been liberated by the Shieldlanders again. And this is where the characters came from. And it used to be occupied by the Iusians, but the characters were part of a rebellion and rose up, and together with some allies, they managed to kill or defeat or drive away the few Iusian priests that were there. That was part of how the campaign started. And now they got help from the Shieldlanders who came into the village. So it's a small town with a little bit of a city wall and a keep. And the keep is key because it's one of these really sturdy, well-built keep that have been there. And the village has from the beginning, it was built to be a keep, and by the Origians, when they came into the area, so to speak, they built it, and then it was part of the road system. So it was had a big inn on the road between Critwall and hang on a second here.
Export.
Well, yeah, exactly, export. And then back then, export wasn't so big. So it was Radagast City and Critwall. So it was one of many stopovers, so to speak, where the travelers could actually rest, and the keep was there to protect them, so to speak. So that was, and then after when it became the Shieldlands, it started to become dull. But then you had a few years when Halmadr the Cruel, the guy that served Vecna, that took over this area for few years, and it was very murderous and so on. His men, and he was here and had this as one of his strongholds. So there's a Vecna connection. And then the war with the Horde Society broke out, but this one actually managed to go unscathed from that one. And then the Iusian invasion came, and he basically ransacked the place, and half the buildings got destroyed. And the inn, it's called the Half Roof Inn because half of it was destroyed in the war, but the keep was not destroyed. They actually fled and gave up rather than being brutally murdered, all of them, so to speak. So the Iusians took over.
Very smart.
Yep. So let's go. That was that. Okay, go to the next one. And this is Delard. This is on the river east of between Critwall and Export. That is the river that I call the Sandstone River. I didn't invent the river. It's from the Living Greyhawk map, but I named it in my campaign. And there is a town that guards the entry in and out of the river. The problem with this river is that it has a very muddy and difficult delta, so it's not a good port city or anything. That's why Export is the natural port, so to speak, and has a deeper harbor. So Delard is just a stopover, another bigger stopover, but they have a river and good fishing opportunities and stuff too. So it's a couple of thousand people that live there.
It looks like a flood zone almost.
It's almost a flood zone, yes.
Like
so it's built exactly. It's built on one of the few area, like a bump. So it's a little hill. So it's like 10, 15 feet or maybe 20 feet up. So a lot of these areas around gets flooded every spring. But the town is built so it hopefully would stand most of it.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have bridges. Yeah, if you zoom in, you can see every building, and you can see the different fields and trees and stuff like that. So that's part of the new. And this town during the war, this town during the war was actually fairly intact because the inhabitants fled. They took little boats and stuff and fled out the into the Near Div when the Iusians came. So the Iusians basically took over the city intact. And there were a few people who left over. The really poor were left over, the ones that didn't have boats or anything. They basically were hiding in basements or whatever, and the Iusians came.
Kind of like kind of like that movie Alfred the Great, where all the bandits are hiding in the reeds and in the swamps too, in England. So it's kind of reminds me of that. Yeah.
Yep. So this is very, very similar to it.
Yeah,
so,
very cool.
And let's see. We're almost done an hour here. So
yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. And let's go to the next location, and that's a little village called Orona that is just a mile away from Delard to the west towards Aldet.
Okay.
And this is simply a small village that is built on a little peninsula around it. So the river, the Orona River, forms kind of a barrier around it, and it was simply built originally to guard the bridge. So they had a bridge along the road, and there were some guards of the bridge, and then they realized it's perfect because they can fish and they can go out into Nerdiv and fish, and it's a small little farming community. They have a tiny little inn, and that was basically a ruin during the war, but now things are perking up a little bit because there's a new regime in Delard, and that's one of the political backgrounds. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going on that here now, but it's so there is a new regime. So some of the houses are being rebuilt and stuff. So it's life is coming back, so to speak. So and there's some guard towers spread out there around the island and stuff too. So yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a crazy mapping question. I almost like right here, right? You're getting the oxbow effect, like on the Mississippi, right? It's very close.
Yep.
Yeah. So, is that...
So this is built. It's oxbow, and it's swampy around, and there's like big reed fields of reeds and stuff like that, bushes and things. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it's just, I'm loving how this new technology, the river's just not whining a little bit, but this is like realistic. I mean, my gosh, the way that river looks.
And you have to, example, this is in full 3D.
Right.
So this is not just a pretty picture. This is full 3D.
Right.
So we can put it in GIS, and we can put it in game engines and stuff, and look at it 3D. And there will be some 3D images.
And please note that when I'm zooming down, it's not scalable zooming back, like because of
it's more realistic. Every pixel is 5 feet.
Right. So
that's why I call it the porta potty scale. So it's 5 feet. So every pixel, which makes it easy to take into the DTT.
Isn't that crazy, John? The level, it's just so awesome.
So we have more locations. So let's go to, after this one comes a small, we can skip over fairly quickly, but Sommel, the 31 there. Yep. So it's west of all that toward, now we're getting closer to Critwall. So this is a small, you can zoom in a bit. So this is a small little village. It looks like it has a wall around, but it's basically just a low wall to keep the sheep and the goats in, and a few cattle and stuff. So like often go back to Europe of old, and you can see that a lot of farmers, they took all the boulders and rocks and stones in their field, and they put these on the side of the field and make these kind of stone walls that surrounded it. That was perfect, both a little bit of defense, but also mainly to get the cattle and all the animals and stuff fenced in really effectively. And he kept things like wolves and stuff out to some degree too.
So I'm just saying, it feels like the Google Map Sally view. I'm saying it is for Greyhawk.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep. So it's for Greyhawk. And so this is an example. All this area that I've mapped so far is 250 square miles. It's 1/4 of 1 hex of the Darlene map.
Think about that.
So all we see here is can easily fit in. We can have twice as many locations in a Darlene hex, or even 4 times as many. This is a good example of what you can do when you develop. And this little village, it was built there because it was another little bridge along the road, and it's also because they have a big bog in Tails next door, so to speak. So they could put up peat and they could burn peat and sell peat and stuff. So that was part of it. And they also had a lot of good grazing areas around, so to speak. So that's one. So that was the reason. And you clump together for defense. So that's why they put it. And then you can go to the next one, 32. And that's basically the next stopover 2 miles down the road. And this one is a little bit different. This is an area that is basically had 2 hills. And is a fork in the road. And the reason they built it there was that one of the hills had a keep originally back in the day to guard, because it was a good spot. Exactly, that was a keep. And then people started living next to the keep, and an inn sprung up, and then they built, because they only needed to be, meaning there were hills enough to wall in roughly half of it. So it became a small town, or like a large village, simply because people started living there, so to speak. And there is no bridge over the river. It's just a ford, so you have to go over. So that became a little place that I called No Hold It.
No OBS Ninja there, John. I got all these. I have
exactly.
these.
Yeah.
It's just easier for me to pop them up. I'm doing it. Yeah.
Yep. So, and not every location needs to be a settlement. We can have other types of location too. And here comes one on the 33 that I call Maidenfall. And this is an interesting, and up there on the right, you have a 3D. You can zoom in on the 3D first so people can see a little bit what it looks like in 3D. So there you have the place in 3D. So we have a hill that has almost 90-degree fall for a couple of 100 feet. And then it's like a 60 degrees granite slope into a lake, so to speak. And the lake is a deep one with brackish water into it. And that hilltop there is usually called Maidenhead, and the place is called Maidenfall because back in the day it's rumored that young women who didn't want to get married, the one that they were allotted to marry, they simply sacrificed themselves and threw themselves
I love that
into the
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's why they call it so it's called the maiden fall because they fell to their death. And the lake is called the Sorrow Lake, and it's very, very deep. Nice. And the water is brackish. And go zoom out again so we can see it from the top down view because it's a little bit more detailed. So
is it like Loch Ness deep?
Yeah, it's very deep. If you look at it, it has very clear water, and the rumor is that it's salty because it has the tears of all the women that have committed suicide in there. And the river that goes out to the east is called the Sorrow Stream because of it. So that's the backstory of Maidenfall, so to speak. And then we can go to.
I want to ask a question for everyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just this that I have here. The size of this map on in storage, not in a JPEG, but the zoomable, all that. What's the size? Are we talking like 50 gig?
No, it actually the size is not that big. The area 200 square miles is 16,000 pixels to the side.
Okay.
So 16,500 pixels, about 250 megabytes or something like that in non-compressed, so to speak. Okay. No, the whole area. These pictures are only 2 megabytes or something.
Right,
like
but
that
I'm saying like to have that whole rendered area.
Well, yeah, to have the 200 square miles rendered and have them in a top-down view is about 250 megabytes.
Oh, that's
it's about the same size as the whole Flanese map.
Okay, so the renderings where all the memory takes once you get to the final pick.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's when all my layered, because I have a Photoshop layered file where I put in all the masks and stuff to do this, and that one is 40 gigabytes for this.
Okay.
For this place. Over 40 gigabytes in size.
This one blows me away, this pick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the detail on this is unbelievable.
Yeah, so you can actually do an overland adventure like you would do a dungeon crawl, so to speak. That's the idea with these adventures. You can figure out where the orcs hide out. You can make all sorts of cool locations and stuff here. So, and these are also they will be down the line. These will be available as a layered Photoshop file, so you can actually put buildings in there, and you can put all sorts of stuff. And the buildings will have height when you see it in 3D. I haven't done that yet, but there will be meaning trees are knobs that stick out of the terrain. So the trees are actually 3D as well, and they have different colors and stuff. And there are masks for everything here, so you can make all sorts of stuff. And the cool thing is when I import it into GIS, you can get it labeled, you can get it styled, and so there's the sky is the limit, so to speak. And let's go to the next location. That is following the Sorrow Stream east until it goes out into the Sandstone River. That is the Marion Bridge. And it's again, bridges are important back in old times when they had to be guarded and maintained and stuff like that. So there's a little town called Marion Bridge, or like a village, and that is controlled by Axport, the barony of Axport now. It used to be, and the Iusians spared it because it was the one going north from Dillard towards Jondo and up towards Westland and Gensal, or especially up towards Westland, and so they needed it for their troop movements and the control of the country. So that's why they spared the bridge and stuff. And then now it's part of that merging trade network, so to speak, with the so that is and there's a little bit of a port where you can even see a little boat laying there and stuff. So, and there's a couple of houses and stuff.
1 pixel's 5 feet again, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. 1 pixel is 5 feet. Yep.
Oh my gosh. All right, so everyone who's new in for the raid, especially if you have a stream, and you have something you're doing with Anna's Greyhawk map. The giveaway. There's two giveaways. The Reaper $20 is like a little side thing now. Anna, explain it again. What you're giving away.
Yeah. I'm going to have meaning Vijay and John at Blue Box. I've been maintaining personalized version of my Flanese map for them, and I'm giving away the service of doing that for someone. So if you want to have, and it will begin by next year when the 2021 version of the Flanese map is done, I'm going to maintain a personal version for someone, and I'm going to basically work 1 day a month, so we can have like a Skype session or Discord or something, or send me a list of things to change, so you can add names, change borders, and stuff like that, and update it every month, and you get a PDF or JPEG or both in versions of it that you can use.
So note that is normally with Anna's new Patreon level, where she's going to open that to 5 others in addition.
Yeah.
$50 a month normally with discounts. So it's like $500.
Yep. So it's a big.
Think about that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a yeah. So just note that's probably the best giveaway we've ever had as far as monetarily goes. Yeah. 500. Yeah. So there you go. Just so. That is wonderful.
So
yes.
If you're so but I want to say that you should be really interested in running your own Greyhawk campaign, so to speak, if you want this price, so to speak, to use it. So yeah. Okay, we have a couple of locations that I want to show that was kind of cooler than this. So go to the next one, and that is called Barge. And this one has a Rainy connection. It's southern end, the coast between Dellard and Critwall. There is a little bay and an inlet in there. Yeah, there has a 3D version of it there too, so you can kind of see. This is one of these hideouts that the Rainy used to hide in this little bay, and when the weather was bad and stuff. And some people realized that's a good spot to hang out. So they built some huts and stuff and had some goats, because then they can actually sell stuff to the Reni and buy stuff. So they started bartering and buy and sell. And it was also one of these areas that were difficult to get to for the Iusians. So Barge, and the place is called Barge simply because the Reni kind of, they come with barges. So other people that knew it from inland, they called the little place Barge, and there are some huts and there's even some ruins from earlier times when there were probably a bigger village here or something, and it's like a shallow bay where the barges can come in, and there's some beaches where they can go, and so it's a kind of a nice secluded little place to live, where you can actually do some bartering and trade with the Reni when they come in, so to speak. So always try to make backstories of places, and now we're going to go into 2 places that have backstories that we're going to tie into, and the next one is Syrian Keep.
Oh, look at another raid. Raids!
Awesome, welcome.
Hey, Fable42, what's going on? Welcome to Virtual Greyhawk Con. So I'll do the next one in 1 sec here, Anna.
Yeah,
so,
no problem. We have plenty of time.
Yes, and then we're going to be raiding into Blue Box. So good to see you in there as well. Yes, get your stuff set up, man. Get yours set up, John. We'll be there soon.
Awesome.
So
yeah,
for the main event for tonight, Blue Box is overworking with Builder Master Crafter Sasha Scorn's unbelievable crafting. Going to be showing tonight some new terrain. So
awesome.
Critical Dice, good to see you. King of Instagram. Yes. Yeah, yes. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. So we're working Anna Meyer showing some unbelievably new technology here as 1 pixel 5 feet here for the Greyhawk maps. Showing some really great stuff. So we're going to Syrian Keep there, Anna?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, Syrian Keep. And this it's not finished because the keep doesn't stick out of so the keep is not 3D on this image. It will be. So the keep will have heights and stuff. So but if you zoom in, you can actually see at least the layout of the keep, and it has a little bit of shading. I kind of did some Photoshop cheating on that one. So this interesting thing, this is the up in the Syrian hills. I named these hills Syrian hills. It's not from hang on a second here. There we go. So this keep here, I have it as it was constructed in the 200s by the first Oridians that came coming past, so to speak, and realized this is a strategic location. So when they expanded the Greyhawk, Grey Kingdom westwards and came out, they realized that they needed a keep to keep track of the hills and the passages up. So they started building a small keep. And that was back in the 200s, so to speak, and it's been ruined several times over, so to speak, and it was also used as a stronghold by Halmardr the Cruel. That's one times when it got raided. So the first one were probably Flan raiders who attacked the early times when the Iridians, it was a frontier outpost of the Great Kingdom. And there's like a little plaque on the side that had the Great Kingdom little stone that someone found afterwards and put back in again. So and then it became the Halmardr the Cruel had it for a couple of years when he was running the show. He had it as his hideout, and then the Shieldlanders, they came back, or the Great Kingdom Shieldlanders, they actually ousted Halmardr and ruined it. And then it was built back up by Count Larden. And Larden is a town not too far from here, so to speak. And he used it as a retreat and as a safe spot to hide out in case of unruly behaviors, and probably a place to hide out some treasure and stuff too. So he used it for up until the wars. And when the Horned Society attacked, it actually didn't see any fighting, so to speak. It was one of these backwaters that was forgotten. But then when Ayus attacked, then things started changing, because Count Larden, he was one of these that went against Katarina and started wanting the war to go one way, and Katarina and her side of things wanted to go some other way. And then mysteriously, Ayusians, they kind of didn't attack it, they didn't race it, so it was basically abandoned by Count Larden, and no one knows exactly what happened to him in the war. But the Ayusians didn't race it, so now it's actually hobgoblins from Gensal that is under the Glushnag the Mighty, and they're loyal to him. They are now have a small garrison there, and they keep an eye up on the Syrian hills, because they know that there are hideouts in the Syrian hills. So that is now some hobgoblins that are hanging around, and it's kind of both a scary and a good post for them. They are away from most of it, but it's kind of scary a bit because there are enemies up in the hills. Yeah.
I need to put this in perspective again, because this is blowing my mind away. Everyone knows how big the Darlene map is.
Yeah.
And one hex is 30 miles.
Yep.
Everything we've seen so far is one quarter of one of those hexes.
Oh yeah. The
all that fits into one quarter of one of those hexes.
Yeah. Yep. So meaning there is plenty of room for to add things. So what I've done here is that I've taken the stories in the published sources and then spun more details into them, so to speak. So to create as an example of what you can do with any empty hex on a Darlene map anywhere.
Yes,
you can
that's
find
so true.
Cool stuff and add cool stuff and invent detail. What I think is important is that don't try to revise what's already made. You can make tweaks, but I like to build on what's previously been done, so to speak, and add cool things to it, like Halmardr the Cruel and Count Larden and stuff. I didn't invent them. They were already invented. I just took them and put them in the landscape here and added detail.
I'm trying to see if I can find.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Darlene signing her map, right?
Yeah.
So look at that map there. One quarter of that's only half the map.
Exactly.
Half the size of the map.
One
quarter of one of those hexes.
Yeah.
Is
the area that I've developed here.
Yeah,
so
that is insane.
All of that, all of the stuff that we've shown here easily fits in one of these hexes.
Insane.
Yep.
Yeah. Jeez.
And then we can go to the next one, and now we come into the cool one. They're called Dragonhide Caves. And now we can see some cool stuff that you can do, because this is real 3D. You can actually, so I started experimenting to see what do you do with dungeon maps when you want to show where the dungeon actually is in the real terrain, so to speak. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Wow,
a cutaway.
There's a 3D little image where you can see what the hills look like, not cutaways, so to speak. And you can actually see the Syrian keep is on the left there. So these are caves, and they're the Dragonhide Caves, because they were there were some natural caves in here, but back in about minus 900s, they were dug out and expanded on because this was the rule of Caraptis and Dragotha. So the Flan that lived here back then, they hid in these caves. That's why they're named Dragonhide Caves, because they actually hid from Caraptis and Dragotha's terror regime and hidden. And the caves are constructed in a way that you can see in and flee in several different directions, and you can see out valleys. So if you zoom in a bit, you can see.
Sure.
Yep. Zoom in, and you can actually see the details. You can see there's only 2 real entrances into the caves, one from the west and one from the northeast, and the other ones are peepholes that you can see out and you can shoot out, so to speak. So they're like hidden small little arrow slits and observation holes, or you can cast spells out. But in order to get in, there's only a couple of entries in, so to speak. And there's some hidden ones because and my players have to see, this is not the player version. There will be a more advanced version in my campaign with more detail. This is a quick and dirty Photoshop work to get it in there. I will polish it and change it a bit. So not, but the caves will be here, so to speak. And in my campaign now, these set of caves have been taken over by the Old Faithers, the Flan that used to be in the Fell Reeve. And the Tangles, they have the Tangle and Fell Reeves, they have fled south when Iusians are hunting them down. And this is one of the areas they fled into. So they're hiding in the caves, and they're also living up in the Taival Valley that is up, that hidden valley, because there's only 2 ways into that valley up there, and the caves have the entrance into it. So it's a very secluded location. You can see for miles if an enemy is coming, so it's a perfect spot to hide out.
So what's the height of the hills here?
They're probably about 2,000 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, but the highest peaks is probably about 3,000 feet.
Okay.
Down. Yep.
Okay. So we're talking about something that is scalable in some spots, but not
exactly.
Yeah,
some of it's probably
it's not Rocky
scalable, but you have
Mountains,
to, but it's hard to attack up them, so to speak.
Right.
The defenders
You
have a
gotta go through the
huge
valleys, yeah.
advantage. Yep.
Okay.
Up the valleys, so to speak. So that is the Dragonhide Cave, and this is an example of what you can do when you can integrate a dungeon into the surrounding area, so you can see where it is and how it interacts with the rest of the world, so to speak.
Yeah, this isn't Arthur, and I don't think this is a dwarven area because it's Shieldlands. Shieldlands really didn't have a lot of dwarves, correct?
No, not that many.
Yeah.
No, not that many.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's much dwarfs involved in these caves. They're mostly natural to begin with, and then they've been added to and chopped out by old Flan. They were Flan back in the day that built them. So 1,000 years ago.
So that's the last ones of this area. So Fabled asked, Chris Solo asked a question. How just in general, how is this made? What programs compiled?
Yeah,
to
I've
make
used
this?
The terrain is created in World Machine. So it's 3D terrain, and it's textured, and the elevation and all that is done in World Machine. Then I've taken the textures in Photoshop and added masks for trees and stuff, and then I rendered the trees and stuff a second time in World Machine. And then I've simply assembled it and stuff in Photoshop. And I did the layering and the shading effects of the cutout is all done in Photoshop. Because when you have a height map, you can do some miracle stuff. You can shave off a bit of a mountain and show what's inside it. And I can make 3D versions of the cutout as well in future maps. So it's perfectly possible.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
So that was a short, kind of quick, just little sneak peek into the type of content that I want to develop, both my own campaign, but also the detailed areas, meaning we can see Temple of Elemental Evil, Hamlet, and also to Spine Keep, Spine Castle, and White Plume Mountain, and the city of Greyhawk and stuff developed in this detail, so to speak. That's what I want to do.
All right, so we're going to go to, I see we got a couple slides left.
Now comes the bit in the future. So this is next year's project, the big one next year. And that is Greyhawk in GIS or QGIS. That's the tool I would use, because QGIS is an open source tool. And for those who don't know, and most people probably don't because they are not that cartography nuts or crazy about cartography as I am. And GIS is geographical information systems. And it's basically the real world technology to make real maps. So I'm going to use it to make Greyhawk maps with it. And there's a bunch of advantages to use GIS because you can easily make different versions of the map. So you put the data in there, and that means that you can export, import the data, you can reskin it, rescale it, and change what it looks like, so to speak.
Insane.
Yep.
Absolutely insane.
Yep. So that was so QGIS or GIS conversion of the Flanies map is the big thing next year, so to speak. So I'm going to start when I've done the 21 version of the map, hopefully by Christmas. Then I will start working converting the whole map into GIS and get it all geo-referenced and stuff. Well, we'll see about 10-digit coordinates, but yeah, it will probably be, you can do inch, yeah, you can do precision that is basically, you can zoom into infinity small and start doing it. You can simply take someone's mouse trap or someone's basement and stat out a mouse layer in a basement. It's technically possible. So yeah. So there's because one of the things that I want, there's many reasons to go with GIS, and it's that you can do web versions of the map, you can do different versions, areas, you can combine data without having to redo it, because what I have now in Illustrator is basically a pretty picture. So every time I have to do something, I have to redo the whole thing. Or a lot of it, and it's a lot of extra work and stuff, and you can't get things like distances out of it and so on. But with GIS, you can simply say, I want to take this road from Leukish to Greyhawk, and you can get down to 1/10 of a mile exactly how far it is. You can get, when you get height maps in there, you can even get the elevation, so you can kind of calculate travel times and stuff like that really easy. But so that is so that's one of the reasons. The other one is for print maps. So you can go to the next the next slide, because that's the next project. Once I've put them in, got them GIS, so to speak, and put them in and got them in GIS form, then we can start talking about making print versions of it. So you can have versions in different scale for different sizes and so on and so forth. And to make sure that the labels are the right size for prints and stuff. So that is something that can hopefully, with a bit of luck, be started in 23. And I also want to and I've talked to Noble Dwarf Printing, and they are ready to start jumping on this. So hopefully they could be yeah, they can be walkthroughs in 3D and stuff. So yeah, so and GIS can handle 3D and height maps too. So that's the cool thing. You can connect 2D and 3D data. So, and it's also something I want to have for future things and upcoming projects. So to have it as a GIS base makes it much more possible, because much easier, because you can reuse data for different projects in the future. Okay, any other questions and stuff we missed here? So, because we're starting to get to the last.
Yeah, but I guarantee there's going to be questions to fill in the last 15, 20 minutes here, so it would be good.
Yeah, so we have the, I can, yeah, here we have the last slide that was prepped, and that's the last one, and it's fonts, because I want to have cool fonts for the maps, and I want to have custom fonts for the maps. And I've checked with Darlene and sent her an email, and I got a positive response back. So we're going to work on, I helped Darlene fund and get the Greyhawk Gothic out the door. So hopefully we can kind of work on, exactly, we can work on more fonts and stuff in the future. So one way or the other, we're going to get fonts, and hopefully Darlene can produce a whole set of cool fantasy fonts that we can somehow use, and she has an awesome Patreon called Lettertopia that I think will be perfect for her to have these fonts, and then somehow they can be released.
Calligraphy is her main deal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She is an awesome calligrapher. She's
Yeah.
a fantastic calligrapher. So that's why I want her so much to work on a set of fantasy fonts, because she did the calligraphy on the original on her map. I think that's the biggest, to me, that's the what I love that map the most for, is the awesome calligraphy on it. The map is fantastic in itself, but the calligraphy shines even more than the cartography on that map, in my opinion. So that's why I would love to have Darlene do more fonts for us in the Greyhawk community.
I
And
think
I want to
that's.
help her.
I think Alyssa Faden. I think that is a coincidence. I think that's a coincidence. Alyssa and Faden is not right. Blue Rug, you just said, just hit me finally. Alyssa Faden. Her name. I think it's a coincidence.
That is probably a coincidence.
Yeah,
yes,
because
I think
Alyssa
so.
wasn't.
Yep.
Now, if it said Darlene, that would be different, right?
Yep.
Blue, I think that is a complete coincidence.
I think so. Yep.
Well, there's a lot of stuff on that map that is like that. I mean, a ton of places that are there. I mean, everyone knows that the Dwell Underdark City of Aurora Iceland was all of Luke's children's part of their names. So, but there's a lot of them on there that's that way. So.
Oh yeah, that was one of Guy Geck's wonderful. It was the play of words and letters. So there's so many. Exactly, there are lots and lots of them. So and that's one of these kind of quirky things with the Greyhawk setting that I like. Yeah.
So I'm going to come up with this. You're going to be shocked, because normally we do have we're going to stay on until Blue Box is live. So
yeah.
But a thank you screen for Anna already. But I know there's going to be other questions out there.
Yeah. And now we have time, so we can kind of deep dive. I wanted to make sure that we got through at least all the slides and some of the backstories. So.
I mean, some of the things were amazing. I want to ask a question myself about this. So I want to go back here.
Yeah.
All right, to the map. So you have, because you've outlined this, is it made at this level and you just blued it out? So you have it rendered?
No, it's only the coastlines that are laid out, so to speak. So,
the coastlines themselves. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I because I started a Hepmona map like 3-4 years ago, or 5 years ago. And it's been one of these in the back burner. So it's been the Lendor Isles, and the Hepmona land map has been in the back burner. And then I wanted to figure out how difficult it was to make something that looks like the other terrain straight out of Photoshop. And 5, 6, 7, like 10 years ago, I wasn't that good in Photoshop that I could actually just do it straight from the get-go. Now I'm that good in Photoshop that I can actually make something that looks this good straight out of Photoshop. I don't need 3D or Bryce or anything like that. I can just do it, so to speak. I can actually paint terrain from scratch that are good enough to fit it. But the problem is that when you add things on the map, it's the research. If I could just put something pretty cool for Hepmona land, that will take me a month or something. But the problem is I wanted to match all the sources, and that's the tricky bit. It will probably take me a week just to do the Isle of Dread in this resolution, just to make it look fairly good, so to speak.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the big thing that everyone's looking for is, whoops, there's Anna's Patreon, and as I meant to hit David's block. So
awesome.
I think that's the big one, because the Isle of Dread is is such one of the few that we purloin from someone else, basically, right?
Exactly. Gotten in here. So, well, there's a couple of early ones like the Ghost Tower Inverness and a few others that got into, but the Isle of Dread is one of these that really was kind of.
So Dale's. Let me bring something up. So Dwayne just asked about the Salt Marsh. I'm going to bring up my map area of it, if you don't.
Yes, please do that so we can see where that is.
Give me one second here, and then we'll pop up this area.
Yes, Kel. Thank you, Kel. That was the
Yes,
daughter Elise.
Yep. Thank you. And there's a lot of them like that. So here we go. All right, this is my map, everyone. Please note that.
Yep.
but it's the best. It's awesome
Jay's
anyway.
cool special version.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the Salt Marsh area. This was recently redone actually to
Yes.
meet
When
the
the
Ghost of Salt Marsh map.
Yep.
So you and this whole inner area lines up a lot better now, running up, and a lot of people don't know that this is still this Keeland.
Yep.
It's kind of because of this of Dreadwood.
Exactly.
People
It's
don't
kind
realize
of
it.
one of these most kind of secluded little faraway areas in Keeland. So yep.
Yeah. So the answer, Dwayne, is that one pixel 5 feet deal is only in the Shieldlands area right now, Anna.
Exactly.
Correct?
It's only in the Shieldlands area. So that's map technology and workflow that I've developed recently, so to speak. So this is roughly a mile per pixel.
Right.
So so I've gone from 1 mile per pixel to 5 feet per pixel.
So some things to note, Morpheus, on that is that these are maps. This map is readily available for everyone. Not my custom edited map, but the general map of this is everyone in 576 and 598.
Yeah, you have to think about Jay, if you want to publish your version too.
I know. So look, as everyone sees, this is actually this location. I'm going to toot my own horn since you're here.
Yes.
The Dun Mountains is here. This is on the permanent map.
Yes.
And that is where this takes place. My published adventure with Carlos Horn the Hools, right there in that area. So there, I got my little shout out in there. But this is the Salt Marsh area. If you're running a Ghost of Salt Marsh campaign, you have plenty. I mean, this map is detailed enough to get you whatever you need there, Dwayne. I mean, if you look through this, you also have this is Aulicus's lair, which is the black dragon roaming around. All right, you have the Tomb of Sakatha, that's Tomb of the Lizard King. You have Baltrin's Beacon right here. That's where they're located. So you got a lot of great stuff in this area. Washtree Enclave, you always can have some fun. Conclave, you always have some fun with the Washtree people. So you have a lot of really fantastic. Oh, no spoilers, man. I'm not giving away any spoilers. You got to know the location, right? So, but yeah.
Yeah, the Marquesa. Yes, there are terrain with hexes and without hexes available. I have to. Let me check in a second to see if I have with or without. I have without hexes, and if I don't have with hexes, I will have very soon. So let's.
Horn the Hools is here. This town was placed by Carlos and me, the Dun Mounds on the Dunwater River. That's exactly where it is, right near Salt Marsh, right? Salt Marsh is here. Seaton's here. Yeah, this is the area. Burl, right in that area. So, yep.
No, it's not available with hexes. I'm going to make a note and add that. So it will be available with 12 and 30-mile hexes in a few days. So, but it's available on my Notion repository. So I'm going to post the link to that again.
So I usually give a $25 GC of Carlos's away almost every Wednesday night in Legends of Lore. So just you always want to try in for that too, to order that from a site. But yeah, so Dwayne, any other questions about the area? We're not talking about that. The only area is Anna's specific campaign that she's running for that super high area of resolution.
But it's a test. So in the future, I want to make first kind of iconic locations at that resolution, and then the hope in the distant future, in like 10 years or so, we can have the whole of the Flanese at that resolution. That's the ultimate goal.
And a lot of you will be here tomorrow night.
And we need to do Altamira in that resolution.
Yes.
That's the idea. And then do an even higher resolution for in town stuff, so to speak. So yeah.
So awesome. So any other? So we got about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to do the giveaway and some final shout outs. So anyone else have any other questions? I wanted to bring that one question up because specifically I wanted to know about Tomb of the Lizard. Well, note no giveaways. But, Tomb of the Lizard King, Mandy is running tomorrow. So Mandy's running that during Greyhawk tomorrow afternoon. I think that's what she said. No spoilers. I didn't give any spoilers away. So, yes. Are any other Mystaran locations other than B2 and X1?
Not really that
and
I'm
Search
aware
of the Unknown is
might,
even on here, yeah.
Yeah, but there might be some crossovers that are in Mystara without me even knowing
Chateau
about it.
d'Amber's not on here either, right?
Yeah, so that because there might be some adventures that have been placed both in Greyhawk and in Mystara, and they might be placed in Mystara and I don't even know about it. So that might be possible, but that's not what I'm not aware of it, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any specifically either. Those are the two that I can think of. And if you, so if we go back to the map here.
Yeah, and I can say I don't drink coffee.
We go back here and remember, because Return to Keep on the Borderlands was specifically placed, you're going to look for Kendall Keep. All right,
Yep,
where is it?
exactly. It's a bit west.
Yeah, there
No,
it
zoom
is.
in,
Right here.
zoom in. Yep,
Yeah,
there it is. Yep.
That is Keep on the Borderlands.
Yep, Kendall Keep.
Right there. Okay.
And it was one of the two locations that was mentioned as the official placement, so to speak. You could place it up in the Pale or something like that too, is one or the other. But I like this location the best. It looked matched more geographically, and it was kind of cool. So, and I think the Living Greyhawk had it on their map at that location too. But I might be wrong on that one. But so I added it. And I even changed the terrain so it actually matches the map in B2 fairly well. Yep.
So question is, I saw, what is planned for Lendor Isles?
My plan is to do a 5 feet per pixel map of Lendor Isles. I have it. It's been I've done 2 attempts and they were not good enough. Now I know how to do it. So I've actually started the work, but I didn't have any real good things to show. But there are 2 things I want. And Lendor Isles, it's so sad that it's got, because I started the first times like 8 years ago with Len's blessing, and we started chatting and had a couple of video calls, Skype calls back then, and some emails back and forth and stuff. And then it got stalled due to other things. And then Len got ill the first time, so we kind of put it on hold then. And then he came back from illness a bit, and we started again, and then he got ill, and then he passed away. So it's been a project that's been fraught with both problems on my end and then on Len's end, so to speak. So, but it is coming. I want to dig in deep and really do Lendor Isle as a first kind of showcase for the new style, so to speak, and detailed mapping. So I want to have that whole island at 5 feet per pixel resolution.
So yeah, and
that will probably be in 23 or 24. We'll see. Yeah. So I have I want to put the whole map in GIS next year, and then after that opens up the possibility for several projects. And Lendor Isle is the first one on the list. Ratik is number 2 on the list. But I also want to start researching the city of Greyhawk as an obvious project to dig into. So 24, 25, something like that. I want to dig into to do the city of Greyhawk as a big project. So
wow.
Yeah, and that will probably be a 2-year project to do the city. It will be all my patrons have to suffer for like 2 years to do that.
So M5, I think Anna has an idea to do some pre-canned stuff that you could place, right? Maps.
Well, yeah, I have some other ideas too, and one idea that I'm want to do that I'm discussing to do together with the Gryffindor Games is to run a Kickstarter with them and to do some generic areas at 5 feet per pixel, to take like a 250 square mile area of desert and of iconic types of locations, and to be a bit sneaky about it and simply make them part of Earth. And so you can actually place them in, like, parts of Jungle will be part of Hepmona Land, etc., and so on and so forth. So they could fit in on the planet Earth as well, but they will be and they will come in digital format, in print, and etc., and so on. So to run a Kickstarter, we've talked about it for a little while, and I said I need to have a new computer first, much faster. I got the graphics card, and that was $2,000, and so I need to spend another $5,000 or something on a new computer, but before I can tackle some really big project. That's one of the other reasons I want to do GIS now rather than rendering, because I need a much faster computer to work really effectively. So yeah.
Yeah, you don't want it rendering for days and days like a 3D printer.
Yeah, that area in Shieldlands took 4.5 days to render.
Oh my gosh.
And I've rendered it 5 times now or something. So I spent I have a 3D computer that's basically worked 1 month just to render it, because I've rendered it 5 times just to get it right, so to speak. So it's kind of, yeah.
Alrighty.
Exactly. Generic, yes. They will be marketed as a Kickstarter as generic, and then we will have different tiers. So if you just want it digital, if you want it in print, but I'm also thinking about maybe to have like a commercial tier, so you can spend more money if you're a publisher and you want to use it as a base for your setting or your adventures or something like that. So you can purchase a commercial license from it too. We'll see. It's only early talks, but it's one of these things that people have lobbied me for several years to do this, so to speak. And for next year, that is also, I'm also in talks with Como Press. Wolfgang and me have chatted a couple of times, so we go to do something cool next year for Midgard. So we don't know exactly what yet, and when I do, I'm not allowed to tell anyone. So but I can say that we don't know exactly yet. So we're in talks about something. So yeah, Real Astra is one of these really cool places to do. And in a way, I thought about doing some other city first, but and I said, what the heck? Let's grab the bull by the horns and do Greyhawk first, because I think most Greyhawk gamers want to see Greyhawk.
Yes.
But yeah, but then we have Greyhawk. We probably have to do 2 versions of it. We have to do a TSR version and then the Gary's version. And I think we have to do both versions. So that's why I think it will take longer, but we probably have to do 2 versions. But Real Astra, there are already some really cool maps that I forgot the name of who did it, but they were really, really cool.
Yeah.
And Real Astra is one of these things that I think will be a lot of fun to map. But it's I think that city of Greyhawk has such a significance and so many people adventure there. So it should probably, it's time. But I don't want it to do it too early, because I want to know that I can really make it justice when I dig into it. And it's not only to make it look pretty, but it needs to be data that can be used in the future in GIS, in game engines, etc. down the line.
So I'm showing you the area that we showed all those attachments.
Exactly.
Did.
Yes.
It's right here.
Yeah, exactly. It's
That's
that
where
little,
it is.
yeah,
Just
that
here.
little area. Yeah, Dillard is that river east of there.
This.
Yeah, there is Dillard.
Dillard's here.
Yeah, there
Okay.
it is. Yep.
So that just
yeah,
show
and the
you.
Syrian Keep is up in the hills west of Dillard up
Right.
there.
So there you go. That is the area
So
that we're talking about.
It's like 20 pixels from one side to the other on that one. So yeah.
Yeah. No, Anna's not going to do anything with WotC Greyhawk ever at this point. She got too much going on.
Well, if Wizard of the Coast comes and gives me an NDA and asks me to do it, I guess I wouldn't say no. That's for sure. So if you want me to do a Greyhawk map, I'm available, so to speak. But
yeah, exactly. That's the only way.
We'll see. But I don't think it will happen. No, I don't think.
You never know.
But I've actually signed an NDA for Wizards, because I've visited their headquarters and I've been on their podcast and their Twitch show, and so I've actually been with Wolfgang Bauer and me. We were on Dragon Talk, so I've been to Wizard of the Coast and I've seen their offices and stuff, and I had to sign an NDA in case I saw something that I'm not allowed to talk about. So yeah,
I'm whispering John to see when
they're
yeah. So any other questions? Any other questions we got here? So yeah,
Flanny's New York City, Real Astra. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. It was the capital of the Great Kingdom back in the day, so it's fitting. It's one of the biggest city, and they talk similar to New Yorkers. Yeah, that's funny.
So let's put this out here again. One of you lucky SOBs is going to be able to, as you can see on this map here, there's about 8 locations that are mine on this map. So just think about that for what the winner's going to be able to do for a year. Here and wherever else I have my campaign set in, all throughout Selene, all these locations in Selene are all mine, right? So it's an amazing and it's an honored thing to have. so you'll have some
Yeah.
capability and all along
Mhm.
down here in the Pole Marsh. That's all
Yep.
mine too. So.
Thank you,
Yep.
Marquesa. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, all righty. Well, it's 7:46, so I'm waiting for
Yeah.
them to hop on here. I'm gonna text John as well.
Yeah.
So, any last calls there for the giveaway? Please sign up,
Yeah.
and it's not just the Reaper, like you said, but please note that you. Hey, Sean, what's going on? How are you, man? So,
Yep. So I hope it was
yeah.
interesting
Oh,
and
this was
and and a
fantastic. I think you've
deep
outdone
dive in.
yourself on this one. Real.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
I think
It
this
was a
was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it was much less map technology than previous and more kind of setting oriented, so to speak, which I think it's more appropriate here. So
We are done. We are done in 5. All right. So let me, while we're waiting, and before we do the giveaways, since I have all your attention here, because you're all going to stay for the giveaway.
yeah.
So note the following.
Thank
This
you.
is some of the things that's coming up. Tomorrow morning, we're going to have a fantastic adventure. Tonight with Blue Box. All right, so Note John from Blue Box is on. Then our men runs from New Zealand in the middle of the night. Chom Van de Veen or near is 4 a.m. We're not sure if that one's going to go off from Belgium yet or not. We're trying to get a player hasn't contacted, so note. But tomorrow, in the morning, it starts off, and you're going to see the great, ever mysterious Tim is going to start that off very, and I'm producing it, so I'm going to be up at the crack of dawn as well. Hold on, where is it? Here we go. So between a rock and a hard place, Anna's playing in this, so I don't even know. Oh my God, what time do you got to get up?
3 o'clock. So we start 4 o'clock my time. So I have to get up by around 3. So yeah.
And this is the one appearance during the con this year you're going to see of Carlos. So we got Carlos Lysing and the crew here. Yep. Jason's playing it. Jason Savoda's playing in it. So, it's going to be a fun time. I think there's 6 characters in that, in Tim's Rovers of the Barons game that runs at 7 o'clock. And we got some unbelievable content the rest of the day. Let me pop that up here for tomorrow. So we got Guild Superior Siege of Westkeep at 10. There'll be a little crossover there. And then from there we have Stella's Welcome to Hamlet in 5e. Mandy's Tomb of the Lizard King, which we've been talking about. Mandy's on here now, right at 3 p.m. These are all Eastern time, by the way. And then the Grand Millie competition of Altamira, 20 competitors. That is at 6 p.m. And that's gonna and then we're gonna run that into our Minigan, who's gonna run the late night again. So I'm excited about that. It's gonna be a fantastic. I'm thinking I got it down on how I'm going to run it, so it should work very well. But I haven't given away anything. Casey has been probing me for stupid questions all along, trying to find out stuff, trying to min-max things. It's like Casey and Tim were born at the same exact time, So I got to deal with. When will the underdogs reconvene, Lord Gazamba? You will ask Tim that and see what he says for the next time the underdogs will go. But I imagine it'll be down the road. He's shocker. Alex said, yes. So Alex has got a character. It's kind of an underdog in this. Solara Than, and she's pretty nasty. I think she's a sleeper character. Yeah. You're gonna figure out a way to use your lance. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, Chantel. You're not gonna have a way to use your lance in this. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to use your lance.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna be. That's not happening. You use a lance in a joust. This is a brawl, and this is gonna be just a brawl, and but no one knows how it's gonna start. I know how it's gonna end. So note that. We'll talk about Sunday at some point during Saturday. Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. So did John just text me back? Someone just dinged me, and let's do the giveaway here. All right, John's live in 3. Good. All right, so there we go. Perfect timing. So bring a 2-handed lance into a dungeon crawl. There's no reason you can't. I mean, you can use a spear as a light lance, right? But you're using a lance in a fight with people with spedums and halberds and 2-handed swords. You're gonna get your ass kicked if you're standing there with a lance. I'm just sorry. It's just gonna happen. I mean, it's cool. So funny. So get a running start. Yeah, you're not gonna. We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. Stella. Oh, Well, you're giving it to your daughter. Unfortunately, there, Sean, and I will hold them for the next time she plays in a game. There is no hero point allocation allowed in this because it's for, we want it to be as fair as possible. Now, everyone gets a special to undo. I'm putting that down to make sure she gets them in the future. Everyone gets a special to undo one of your own fumble one rolls, and that's your one and only during the entire combat. So, it's a Grand Melee fight to the death. Yes and no. Just have to see. Remember, there's 18th level clerics and wizards roaming around this area. If you die, you're not going to stay dead for long. That's all I got to say. So, yes, I know you have to take care of her. I mean, real quick, Sean, Lord Gazumba, because he's got a thing for Lady Isarel, right? From the joust, he gifted her a very special suit of armor to help her out. Because one thing about Stella's character, she's one of the few that doesn't use a shield because she fights two-handed. So she has no shield bonus as an Elven Cavalier. So yes, I gave her. She got a very nice suit of +3 Elven chain. Yep. So yeah, absolutely. So fight to the. You'll see. Just wait and see, everyone. It's gonna be. You'll see the rules and all. That's pretty fair. So, yeah, Mountain Blade. Yeah, it would be rough. You never know. Enoch is playing Josh Death Dealer because Chuck couldn't, because Chuck's got a wedding. So Enoch Brett is playing Josh. Josh Death Dealer gets passed around a lot.
It's one of these.
Always gets passed around. So, what did you get, Patrick? Patrick. Juan Carlos is like the mainstay of the Free City of Altamira, being the captain of the guard. So he fights for the noble cause of it, not to win. You should know that by now with that character. Yes, you are. If I were to rank people, Juan Carlos is 19th out of 20th ranking, I'd say, and 20th is Garn because he's a cleric. So. Yeah. So now, you think, Bill? I think Garn is 20th. Yeah. Garn's fighting on that. Garn's Thaco's 16. Everyone else's is 14. It's going to be rough for him just off the bat. So, all right, I'm closing out the entries.
Yep.
Yeah. $5 to hit Duncan Jousley. Yes. Well, Tim will be there and he'll be ready. And thank you all for all the great ads that you gave him. It's going to be a real fun time.
Yep.
Garn moves up because of attitude. All right, Garn's 19th and Juan Carlos is 20th. There you go. So I'm closing this out. The winner. Now, if you win this, hopefully you're part of the Greyhawk community. Hey, let's. So here we go. Uncle Fuzz 5. Uncle Fuzz 5 is on. There you go.
Okay.
Uncle Fuzz 5. You are the winner. And that was the Anna giveaway there. So
okay, you did that first. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I always have to do that one.
Congratulations.
First. Uncle Fuzz. So you got to reach out to Anna.
Make sure you whisper the detail. Well, or whisper the details now to Jay, and he can get to me.
I haven't seen it. There you go. So Uncle Fuzz, if there's a problem with it and you're like, I don't think I'm going to use it or whatever, just let us know, and then
then
we'll
we
do
can
something else.
Give it to someone.
Yeah, but I think it's an honor to have that. So it's a really cool thing. Definitely. And then here we go.
Awesome.
Captain Ron. Captain Ron is the winner of the $20 Reaper gift certificate. So that is awesome to see too. So yeah, Fuzz, it's a great honor, man. I mean, because you can so develop up your Greyhawk campaign.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, Ron, you got the $20 Reaper gift certificate. So I will, Captain Ron, whisper me your email address right here on Twitch, and I will send it within the next 10-15 minutes. All we're waiting for now is Blue Box to go live. The minute Blue Box goes live, we're going to raid into them. So I wanted to say thank you all for a wonderful, wonderful. Anna, this is. Yes. I think. What does the audience think? I think this was the best show. Anna said, "Hey, Jiggly, good to see you." Good to see you on. Nice.
Hello.
Yes. Yep. So, it's not showing up though on my end. There's a delay of about 2 minutes, Blood, for rating purposes. So you can't rate in immediately when they go live. You got to wait about 2 minutes. So it hasn't showed up on my end yet. So definitely. Yep. Good to see you on. But by far, I think this was the best, Anna. This was awesome. All the detail you gave everyone. Mm-hmm. Thank you. The next fantasy mapping show, Alyssa Faden, Anna Meyer, and myself.
Yep.
2 Fridays from tonight,
Yep.
October 15th. It's on settlements. Oh, I have
Yep.
that. I have that too.
Mhm.
Hold on.
Yeah, we have to cover the
We're waiting.
iconic maps. So we had dungeon maps first, and then we
Yeah.
had setting maps, and now come the settlement maps, the city maps, the village
Yeah.
maps and stuff. That's the so
Here
so
it is.
talk a little bit. Yeah, so-
Settlements. Okay.
yeah, and we don't need any guests because we have one
Yeah.
specialist on that, and I'm raising my bar when it comes to city mapping too. I'm not on Alyssa Faden's level yet, but I'm starting to get up there. So my Dellard map is not that bad. So it's kind of I'm getting there. So yeah.
I'm checking to see if I'm able to raid him yet. Okay, I'm able to raid him. So very good here. Give me 1 second. So everyone, thank you for such a wonderful show, and thank you as day one of Virtual Greyhawk Con continues of 3 days. You got it. Oh, great, long shot. I'm glad you got that. Thank you. Very, very cool. And Jiggly, great to see you too.
Yeah.
Blue Box's main event, the main event of the night is coming on. It's going to be fantastic. Please hang out for that. And if you can, late night, just even if you can lurk for Armin in the middle of the night. And then J2, packed content day 2. And then great stuff on day 3 on Sunday as well. And I'm really excited. Yeah, we're having a fun time. Here we go. I'm going to set this up. We'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be on Blue Boxes watching, but I'll see you tomorrow 7 a.m. Eastern for the ever mysterious Tim's Barbarian game in the Rovers of the Barrens. Everyone have a good night, and hang in there for this raid.
Thank you. I'm going to post my link.
So Uncle Fuzz is a longtime patron of you, and so we're set.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Awesome.
First name Daryl.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Ron,
I'm going to post all my
Ron, I'll
links
get you
again.
yours shortly here. All right, setting the raid up.
Awesome. Yep. Perfect.
See if we can get over 100. And by the way, Build-A-Master Crafter's got some unbelievable stuff on this. There may be some people in there already. So we got 83.
Yep.
That's a nice number.
That's
all right,
good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you soon. That was awesome, man.
Yep. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. And I think it was good to have some more setting-oriented stuff and show rather than.
Oh, that was great. Just in the detail on that.
Yep.
The time.